Done. The the box for the audio setup. It's done. This is done too. This is the game that I designed 1 week ago, exactly 1 week ago on Monday, following a walk that I took. It's done, and I mean that. I mean that when I said last week that this fell out of my head almost fully formed, I meant that. It was basically done when it came out of me. We've play tested it this week. We've made some small tweaks and changes to a couple little things. I simplified it slightly, and it's done. Now, done is not the same as finished, but it's done. And what I mean by that is I think it's a fine game. It's fully playable. It works well. It's kind of a familiar concept, and I think that you could teach it and play it very quickly, and it's got some interesting decisions and that sort of thing. It's not finished in a sense that I could like today publish this on the Game Crafter and you could purchase it, but if I were to self-publish this, I don't want to publish this. And what I mean by that is all of the artwork that I have has been generated by Bing AI, Bing's image generator, and it's serviceable. Some of it is laughable when you, and it's all like the kind of art that when you look at it, you go, oh, that's cool, and then you start looking at the details, and you're like, what? Things don't make sense once you scrutinize it. But for the most part, it's fine. Like for a prototype, it's fine. And so I'm going to play around with it, and I will print a few decks and take it with me to shows and try to get some publisher interest, see if maybe somebody's interested in it. And then if it comes down to needing to be self-published, which, I'm not opposed to that, I think I would pay an actual artist and an actual graphic designer to redo it because it's not great. It's completely serviceable. So what is it? So I've talked a whole lot of stuff. I'm calling the game Dungeon Rummy. It is a rummy-based card game. And if you don't know what rummy is, it's a traditional card game where players get dealt a hand of cards. And the goal is to get rid of all of the cards in your hand. And you do that by playing sets and runs. A set would be like 3 2s, 3 10s, whatever. And a run being 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or something like that. And typically in Rummy, you'd have to play cards in threes, so you'd have to play 3 of a kind. Like a pair is not playable. You have to play 3 of a kind, or you have to play a run. Some people play with runs of 3, some people play with runs of 4s or 5. There's a whole bunch of rules. But the idea is, at the start of your turn, you draw a card, you play anything you have, then you have to discard a card. And that card that you discard is available for the next player to pick up if it's, completes their hand or whatever. And again, the goal is to get rid of all the cards in your hand. Once you do that, everybody scores the cards they have in play, and then you lose points for the cards you have in hand. That's Rummy. That's the basic Rummy. This is that, but dungeon themed, meaning that the cards that you play, and I will say that the cards that I'm showing you on screen are the previous version of artwork. This was done by Crayon, and it's terrible. The new cards are all done by, they're in a cartoon style, and they look much better. They look way cooler. So anyway, in order to play cards from your hand, you have to play a hero, and a hero consists of a character card and at least 2 other cards. So you play 3 at a time, and you have to play 3 different types of cards. So in the game, there are armor, there are weapons, and there are equipment or items. And so you could play a character with an armor and a weapon, or a character with an armor and an equipment, or a character with an equipment and a weapon. You have to play 3 different things. Once you put those into play, that's a set of cards. They're stuck together forever. And then you use those cards to quest in the dungeon. So in the dungeon, there are going to be face-up cards that are available for each player to attack. And essentially, you're going to total up your attack value, compare it to the dungeon's defense value, and if you beat the dungeon, you get to keep the dungeon card. And then each character, so you can send multiple characters to the dungeon. So each character that participates takes the full attack value from the dungeon, has to discard armor and equipment that equals, equal to, or, well, they have to discard armor and equipment to take up that damage. Any leftover damage is taken by the character. And as long as the character survives, it and any equipment it has and the dungeon card go to your score pile. And then we continue playing until the dungeon has been cleared. So there's a number of cards. There's 2 different levels. Once all of the dungeon cards are cleared, the hand ends. We count points in our score pile, count points for the characters in front of you. Cards in hand are discarded. Nothing crazy happens there. So this is a rummy-themed card game that's real simple. You're just playing heroes and questing them and getting points. And play, an even number of hands so that everybody has the same number of turns, or if you want to play to a certain score like 120 or whatever, that's an option too. Very quick, very simple, and actually surprisingly fun. What I did to make it extra special or have a little extra twist or whatever is lots of the cards have keywords that, like for instance the mage cannot equip melee, ranged, or heavy. So basically the mage cannot equip a weapon, and the mage definitely cannot equip a heavy weapon, or heavy armor for that case. So the mage is all about getting magic items, right? And also supporting your other characters. So the mage adds attack to any heroes that accompany it in the dungeon. I added resistances and weaknesses to the various creatures of the dungeon. Some of them might be, resistant to ranged attacks. Some of them might be weak to fire or whatever, or weak to magic. So I added some keywords that make the play not just I get these 3 cards, I put them down, I attack. Right? You have to actually, you don't have to. I mean, you could do that. Chances are your character will die and you get nothing for a dead character. If a character dies, it and all of its stuff gets discarded and just goes back into the card pool. So there are, it's a pretty neat little game. It's 72 cards, so it's very inexpensive, and it plays, I think it would support 3 players. Well, it does support 3 players. I know that. I don't think you could play 4-player with it. You could try, but I think it would be not a great experience. The deck is mostly one-off cards. The characters, there's 2 of each character, and then there are a bunch of one-off, like, all the weapons are unique. Not all of the items are unique. There are a couple of duplicates, and there's some duplicates of the armor. But for the most part, it is it is a deck where there's a weapon that enhances the monk. There's only one of those. So if you get it, you probably want to hold on to it and try and get a monk, because it's not really a very good weapon with any other character. So you have to make a bunch of decisions like that. Like, do I want to keep this? Do I want to discard it and hope that you're not holding a monk in your hand? Just like Rummy, you got to make some of those decisions, and it makes it kind of interesting. I'm not going to sit here and claim that the game is super interesting. It is still basically just a Rummy, and unapologetically so, right? It's that's the whole point. A very fast to teach, very simple card game that doesn't take a whole lot of explaining or brain power to play. There are some weird, unique twists that I had to add or to take away to make it flow, but yeah. So Dungeon Rummy, it is done. It is done. I even have a tuck box designed for it so that I can order it and take a couple of decks around and play with people. If you're interested in playtesting it, let me know. Yeah, seriously, if you're interested in playtesting it, let me know. I think what I would do is put in an order. When I order this from the Game Crafter, I'll just order X number of decks if you tell me that you want one, and then when they all come in, I'll send it to you, and then you can try it out and tell me what you think. Only take me up on that offer if you're actually willing to play it. I don't want to send out stuff that nobody's using. That would be annoying. So that is Dungeon Rummy, and this is the new audio play thing that I can carry out and put away when I'm in here working. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should notice sounds smart is satyr. It is a noun meaning a lascivious, lecherous man. Harold's graceful manners disappear once he has had a few glasses of champagne and he becomes a veritable satyr. Satyr, S-A-T-Y-R. I thought a satyr was like, isn't that the goat hoof harp playing Greek Roman thing? Am I crazy?